Hi, Tanya.
Hi.
We are going to be talking today about preparing the home. And this is obviously after winning a client and after doing that really good consultation. And then the next step is preparing the home. So, can you tell us a little bit more about that and teach us what to do?
Yeah, so once you've had a really good consultation and you kind of have an idea of what's needed, the next thing is to make a plan of all of the things that you need to do to prepare the home for sale. As we talked about in the last video, you want to make sure that you have an idea of the timeline. So, do they have a week? Do they have a month? Are they trying to list it in a couple of days? Because that's going to play a really big role in what all you're going to be able to get done and making your schedule and your plan. So, have a list put together. You're probably going to have that after the consultation. So you're going to want to do things like repairs. So hopefully going through the consult, you got a list together of things they need to repair. Maybe that's painting, maybe it's changing out some hardware, maybe they have some holes in the walls they need to repair. Anything that you came up with during the consult, those are things you're going to have to plan. And I found that most agents are a lot more successful if they actually have a schedule put together, instead of just saying, okay, here's your list of things you need to get done. Good luck. Because the client is going to be really overwhelmed at this point. They have a lot going on. They're trying to move. They're looking for a new place. And just getting a huge list of stuff thrown at them is probably going to. So instead of doing that and just expecting the client to do it all, they're probably not going to do it, unless you just have an overachiever client, which doesn't happen very often. You have to actually put together a schedule for them. So figure out, okay, this is today's date. This is the goal date for getting the house listed. And here's all the stuff we want to get done. So on Monday, you're going to have the painters come in. On Tuesday, we're going to refinish the cabinets, on what, so have like a specific plan in mind. And if you don't know how long it takes to get things done, I would suggest talking to a contractor or somebody who's actually going to be doing the work. I also highly recommend hiring professionals for certain things. If it's something little like changing out hardware, I'm sure you guys can handle it on your own and just do it really quick. But anything bigger than that, even painting, when it's done by a professional team, they could get it done in a day or two. But if you're trying to do it yourself or the client is trying to do it themselves, and with all the prep work, the taping, the painting, removing everything, it can end up taking them a really long time, especially if they're not good at it and they haven't done it a lot. It could take them several days, it could take them a week, and that literally ate up your entire schedule. So hiring a professional and maybe even offering to help pay for some of this stuff, honestly, is really going to help you out in the long run, because you're going to get that home sold faster and for more money versus letting them take it on. They don't get it done, and now the house doesn't look prepared, but you have to list it, and you know how that goes. So have a list and figure out about how long each of those things is going to take. So for example, if you're using a professional, painting should take a day or two max if you have professionals doing it. Cleaning will take a few hours. You want to make sure all of these things are done before staging. So put together that schedule and follow up with the client regularly. That is very important. I would say that's a huge, like the key to getting this done is making sure that you're following up with that client every day or every other day and being like, hey, so today you were supposed to have the contractors come in and do this, or you were supposed to um, declutter the house today. How's that going? Do you need any help? Being kind about it, obviously. Again, they're stressed out, they're overwhelmed, they have a lot going on. So don't be like rude and pushy, but just nicely check in, see if there's anything you can do, if there's any way you could help them. Um, but if you're not checking in, I mean, I can't even tell you how many times I've seen it where they have this wonderful plan. They're going to do all this stuff. The house is going to look gorgeous. They're going to get it staged and everything's going to be great. I show up on staging day and maybe one of the things got done. I mean, the house is a wreck. I don't think it even got cleaned. It hasn't even been decluttered. And I'm calling the agent like, what's going on? Oh, what do you mean? Is the house not ready? No, it's not even close to ready. We can't stage this house. It's not even ready for staging. We can't put our things in here because there's stuff everywhere. And that just shows which, you know, which agents are on top of it and which ones are not. You know, there's the ones that are kind of hands off. They're like, all right, good luck. This is what you got to do. And they hope that it's going to get done. But if you're not checking in and not swinging by once in a while, you can't expect things just to magically get done. I mean, unless you have a really amazing client. So some of the other things, cleaning that needs to get done the day before staging. If you have really good cleaners that are quick, you can sometimes do it the morning of, like early in the morning before staging. So for scheduling, that should be okay too. And make sure throughout this process that you're explaining the importance of each step. I think that's really important because the client is oftentimes they don't really know why they have to do the things that you're telling them. You should have done some of the explaining during the consultation, but just reminding them of it, the importance of it throughout the process is going to help make sure that things get done. So, you know, saying, hey, don't forget, we need to make sure that we get the house painted. Painting is going to make a really big difference. It's going to make the home feel brand new. It's going to make it smell fresh, and it's really going to help the home sell faster. You know, reiterating these things each step along the way to make the client feel like what they're doing is important. You don't want to add this huge list to their life, their crazy hectic life, and them not understand why they even need to do it. It's almost going to seem unfair to them and kind of cruel. So making them understand why you're doing what you're doing is really going to help make sure things get done and that they feel good and comfortable about the process as well. Along with that, just reminding them of the process, you know, okay, don't forget, we're going to have painting this day. We have to make sure all these things get done before we have staging come in. After staging, we have photos, reminding them of the process so that they don't feel like in the dark about it. So when the time comes, they're like, wait, what? We're supposed to get out of the house? Wait, we have photos coming tomorrow. I have to take my kids to school. You know, you don't want it to be like a surprise to them when it happens. So just reminding them of that process and the importance of it is going to be really important to a smooth transition. This is a lot more important for occupied homes. So if the clients are living in the house and you're trying to get it sold, it's a lot more difficult because they're there all the time. They have a life, they have their own schedule, you know, whether that's work, school, pets, whatever they got going on in their life. And on top of that, you're adding this whole prep schedule and, you know, photos, staging, listing, open house, all of these things, and they need to be able to prepare. So for staging, nobody's supposed to be home. So warning them of that and preparing them, like make some plans that day, get the kids, go out for, you know, a fun day somewhere, have some kind of plans in mind. And then same with the next morning when photography is happening, you're going to want to get all the kids, everybody out of the house. So having that plan in place is going to be really, really important. I mean, I've had several times where even though I told them and during the consultation I prepared them, I show up on staging day and they're all there like having breakfast and stuff, and I'm like, well, hello guys, we kind of need to stage now, so sorry I have to kick you out of your house. And they're like frantically running around trying to get the kids out. So that's actually the agent's job. You are the middleman between any contractor and the client. So making sure that you are on top of that you are contacting the client regularly, making sure things are getting done, their schedule is in place, and that they're on schedule. That's your job, not any contractors. They don't need a painter, a cleaner, a photographer, a videographer, all these people calling them every single day. That's even more overwhelming. You're the middleman, you handle it kind of like an event planner, and you take care of it and make their life as easy as possible. And that's what's going to get you those referrals. So if you make this a smooth process for these people and they feel comfortable and everything goes well and that you get that house sold fast, they're going to refer you to all of their friends. And that's the key, right? You're going to get more business out of it. So making sure that that happens is going to be really important. Other things to consider when preparing the house. So you have all of your repairs. Don't forget about the outside. Sometimes that kind of gets forgotten until the photographer shows up. Make sure you get the landscaping done, you know, even just a really quick lawn mowing and leaf blowing is going to make a big difference. But if you have a little more time, you know, put in some bark, really make it look pretty, because that's going to be the first impression, your curb appeal when people pull up to the house. That's going to be really vital, as well as for photos and such. So the curb appeal, and inside, of course, the cleaning. I just can't reiterate enough how important it is to have the home cleaned. I've had lots of clients who say, oh, we're going to clean the house ourselves. I have a really hard time now trusting that, because it rarely gets done well. I have yet to have a client who cleaned themselves and it just looks beautiful. Usually it's like smudgy, you know, the mirrors still look smudgy. They miss certain things, and especially if they've been living in the home for a while, they have kids, pets. I mean, the house can get dirty pretty quick. So having a professional cleaner is so important. They're going to go in, they're going to wash the floors, the baseboards, the shower, you know, the glass, the mirrors, all of those things that oftentimes the client doesn't really think about, because they've been living in the home for however many years. They're just kind of used to the way it is. So they might not realize that it's even dirty, but to somebody coming in with fresh eyes, they notice all of those things. It's really important to make sure those bathrooms are clean. I mean, it's such a turn off to people to come in to a house they want to buy. You know, they're looking for their forever home with their little children, and they walk in and there's like hairs on the floor, and, you know, it smells like urine in there. And I mean, just think about it. Does that make somebody feel at home and feel like, oh, I can't wait to spend my days here? You know, it really is a psychological thing. You want them to feel that connection immediately. And something as simple as a really dirty floor can send clients away, and that is the last thing you want to do. So make sure those floors are clean, the toilets are clean. In the kitchen, make sure that sink is really sparkly and clean. There's in it some kind of like grease residue in there. Making sure the house doesn't smell, whatever the smell might be. Every home, every family, they have their own smell, whether that's food, pets, I don't know, whatever else it could be. Make sure you air out the home before open house. Maybe get some air fresheners in there. I don't recommend really strong smelling air fresheners, because it can actually make it worse, in the sense that people are then, oh, what are they trying to hide? They have this crazy strong smell that's really overwhelming. They must be hiding some kind of an odor in the home. So you don't want to draw more attention to it. So if you're going to do air fresheners, do them in advance, but don't have it like blowing some really strong scent throughout the home. You maybe unplug them for open house and open the windows and kind of air it out a little bit. But really subtle smells like a fresh laundry smell, or even brewing some coffee or baking some cookies or something like that in the home, to give it kind of that cozy home feel, but not like overwhelming smell where people with sensitive noses are going to be sneezing in there, because there's a lot of people who have fragrance sensitivities, so you don't want to overwhelm the home with smells either. And again, like we already mentioned, all of the repairs need to be done well in advance. Carpet cleaning, I always recommend carpet cleaning unless they're brand new carpets or they just had them cleaned like a month ago, then maybe it's fine. But even if it's been half a year, clean them. I mean, I clean my carpets every 6 months in our own house. So if you're going to be selling a house, they better be clean. That's one of those things. It's same as a dirty bathroom. People don't want to envision their children crawling around on dirty carpets that look like there was, a crime scene occurred in that living room, So take care of those spots. Um, Take care of the dirty floors. Make sure that the carpets are cleaned at least a day or two in advance. Something that people forget about is if you're having the home staged, you do not want to be putting furniture on damp carpets. It can damage the carpet. It will absorb any kind of stain in the legs of the furniture and put it into the carpet. It's happened before. Stager's nightmare. Happens more often than we would like. Not so much just for us, but in the staging community, we talk about these things and people are like, oh my God, I came to remove my furniture and there's red spots, from the cherry furniture. That's because the carpets were damp. So make sure you do it well in advance, that the carpets are 100% going to be dry for staging. Another thing that can make that happen, since we're on the subject, is if the home is vacant and they turn the heat off. Make sure in the winter times you have some kind of heat on. It doesn't have to be 70 degrees, but if it's at least 60, that's going to help prevent that from happening. What happens is obviously moisture in the air, the cold, things could even start to mildew, and that's kind of the same thing as the carpets get damp. So making sure that the home is still heated is going to be really important for those vacant houses. So once all of these things are done, you got the carpets clean, you got all your repairs done, your curb appeal is looking awesome, you had the professional cleaners come in, then you get your staging done. Staging should typically only take a day unless it's a huge property and they're staging the entire house, and sometimes they'll ask for more. The longest one we've ever had was a $5 million property over in Edmonds. It was like an 8,000 square foot house. We staged every single room. It took us almost a week. I mean, it was a lot of house. That's really rare though. Typically, we stage in a day, sometimes two for those bigger multi-million dollar homes. So make sure you talk with your stager and have a plan. Don't just assume, I'll schedule photography the next day, but if it's a really big property, maybe they need it that second day. So make sure you plan that with your stager. And then the photography happens when staging is done. I always recommend doing it the next morning. Sometimes we'll have people photograph it that evening after staging, and sometimes it's okay, only if your photographer is really good. The problem is the lighting's not going to be very good towards the evening, especially this time of year in the winter. It gets dark, like 4 or 5 o'clock, it's already getting dark. And the home is just not going to show as well. If you're on a really big time crunch, which happens often, fine. Make sure your photographer is using lots of extra lights and flashes and things like that to really brighten up the home. The last thing you want is for the home to look dreary and dark and gloomy, in the photos. So photography, if you're doing video, usually that happens around the same time, if not at the same time as photography. So get all of that prepared. And have in mind also that it takes, a day to a few days for those photos to get processed, for you to be able to get it in the MLS and get it listed, depending on your photographer. The ones I work with can usually get them to you in a day, which is really awesome, because there's other photographers that could take up to a week because they're really busy to get you those photos. So make sure you talk to your photographer, find out what their turnaround time is, and make sure that that's in your plan. If you're trying to get things, in as quickly as possible, get a photographer who can get them processed to you quickly. So making sure that you have talked to every contractor and talk to the client and have that schedule and that time in place, that's going to make sure that you can smoothly get on the market at the time you wanted it to, and get it listed and get it sold quickly. The last thing you want is for these things to pop up. You weren't prepared, you didn't know, and you find out on the day of, oh, it actually takes us 4 days to get you the photos. well, crap, I was hoping to list the house tomorrow. You know, don't have that happen to you. Don't be that guy or gal. Prepare. And yeah, I think that that covers most of the steps there. So if you have everything planned out in advance, I can guarantee you it's going to go smoothly. Of course, things happen, God forbid, you know, every once in a while something crazy goes wrong, someone gets hurt, whatever. But aside from all of that, it should work out really well. And I found that the agents that do these things and they have that plan and they follow up with their client, they're the most successful. They get their home sold fast. They get a lot of referrals, and not only just referrals, but this helps them win the client. Because if you have this process in place, then back to step one that we were talking about, just even winning a client, you present them with that and you tell them, I have this plan that I follow with all of my clients. It's very successful. We always get the homes listed on time. We, you know, sell them quick. That's gonna be huge, and that's gonna make the client trust you versus somebody who comes in and is like, oh, I am so excited to work with you. That's all I have to say, you know. But coming in being like, here's what we do. I have contractors in place. I have people I work with. They're all really good. I can trust them. You know, this is a tried and true process that works. That's going to win the client right there. And then in the end, it's also going to get your home sold fast. So it's a win-win in every situation. Be prepared and you will win in the end. So, and if you have any questions about that process or you need help with anything, feel free to reach out, give us a call, subscribe, and we'll definitely help you out. And if you need advice or some contractors or anything, I got great lists, I got great people. So give me a call, shoot me a text or a message, whatever's easier for you.